Acts 10. In Acts 10, we read of how Peter was persuaded by Jesus to baptize Cornelius, a Gentile, a Roman soldier. Peter should have had no problem in mixing with Gentiles and preaching to them. The teaching of Jesus was very clear about that. But Jesus is very sensitive to us. He knows our weakness and limitations and how we are prone to refuse to understand even the most simple statements. And so I want us to notice how Jesus very gently led Peter towards accepting Gentiles and forsaking the ways of religious Judaism. In the previous chapter, in Acts 9, we read how Jesus led Peter to heal a woman who was a disciple named Tabitha, which by interpretation is called Dorcas. Why give both her Hebrew and her Greek names, Tabitha and Dorcas? Perhaps she was only half Jewish, and Peter healed her, so Jesus was just nudging Peter over this issue of accepting Gentiles. And now we find Peter living in Joppa with Simon a tanner, whose house is by the seaside. Peter explains here that Jews don't enter into the house of Gentiles, so we can assume that this tanner with whom he was living was a Jew, not a Gentile. But he wasn't a very good Jew. He was a tanner, which meant working with the skins of animals, even unclean animals, and involved a lot of contact with blood. That's why this man didn't live in the town of Joppa. He lived near the beach, by the seaside, away from society. And Peter was living with him. Peter was poor. He told the lame man whom he healed that, "I've got no silver nor gold." So I think he was probably renting a room with this guy, as it were, and it was cheap, because no decent Jew would want to live with such an unclean man who was living outside the town and was likely despised by the religious Jews. So again, Peter's being nudged by Jesus towards recognizing that the ways of Judaism weren't right. And Joppa was the place, of course, where Jonah disobeyed God's call to go and preach to the Gentiles. So as Peter looked out to sea from the man's house by the seaside, surely he would have wondered about that as well. Another nudge from Jesus. And all that prepared him to then be told to go into the house of a Gentile, even a Roman soldier, and baptize him and fellowship him. You see how Jesus gently leads his sheep. He leads us the same way. He brings situations into our lives, meetings with people, which are all gentle nudges towards something which is very big for us. The important thing is to be humble and respond quickly to those nudges and get the picture quickly, rather than resisting where the Lord is leading us.